In the courtroom in Santa Ana, California, Judge Evelyn Cartwright sat, adjusting her glasses with a lazy rhythm, her fingers tapping idly against the wooden bench. Her reputation preceded her. She had presided over thousands of cases, each one blending into the next. To her, Lawrence Bennett, a well-dressed black man in his late 40s, was just another defendant, someone she was ready to dismiss with a smirk. Her tone dripped with mockery as she addressed him. "Well, Mr. Bennett, let me guess this is all a big misunderstanding, right? Or perhaps the system is just unfair to you." Laughter rippled through the gallery as her words hung in the air. But Lawrence didn't flinch. Calmly, he stood his ground, waiting for the laughter to subside before responding. "Your Honor," he began, his voice steady, "if you actually read the case file, you'd realize I'm not the defendant here. I'm the one who brought this case to your court." Silence fell over the room. Cartwright blinked, her smirk faltering. "What did you say?" she asked, her voice suddenly unsure. "I'm not the defendant," Lawrence repeated, his gaze never wavering. "In fact, I'm the one investigating you." The judge's fingers tightened around her case file as she quickly scanned the documents in front of her, her mind racing. She had assumed something was off, but she wasn't ready to admit it. Instead, she scoffed and dismissed him with a sneer. "Then why exactly are you standing at the defendant's table?" Lawrence didn't answer immediately. Instead, he reached into his suit pocket, a subtle move that had the prosecutor, the bailiff, and the judge on edge. Slowly, he pulled out a sleek leather wallet and opened it. A badge gleamed under the courtroom lights, the badge of a United States Secret Service agent. The room went silent. Cartwright's lips parted, but no words came out. Her eyes flicked between the badge and Lawrence, the realization hitting her all at once. "I was undercover," Lawrence said, his voice now cutting through the tension. "Investigating corruption in this courthouse. Your name has come up more than once." The judge exhaled sharply, her FA cracking for the first time. "This is absurd," she scoffed, trying to regain her composure, but Lawrence didn't back down. He reached into his pocket again, pulling out a folded document, and placed it on the bench in front of her. Cartwright hesitated, before unfolding the letter. It was from the Department of Justice, confirming an active investigation. And her name was listed among those under scrutiny. The realization hit her like a blow, and the courtroom felt like it was closing in. The murmurs from the gallery turned to whispers, as the prosecutor, once eager to impress, now looked anything but certain. The bailiff, ever loyal to Cartwright, stood motionless, his hand hovering near his holster. Even the court clerk, who had spent years beside the judge, averted her gaze. "This is just speculation," Cartwright stammered, trying to maintain control. "There's no proof." Before she could finish, a voice interrupted from the back of the room. "That's not true," said Assistant U.S. Attorney Daniel Whitaker, a man in his 50s with graying hair. The room shifted. Whitaker stepped forward, authority in his voice. "We've been compiling evidence for months. Bribery, case fixing, intentional over-sentencing for political favors." He turned to the court clerk. "Please read the docket number for the federal filing against Judge Cartwright." The clerk hesitated before reading aloud. "Case number 200 for Crone 1785. A collective gasp filled the room. Cartwright's face drained of color. She had lost control. There was no escaping it. "This is outrageous," she hissed, but her words were hollow. Whitaker interrupted. "You're officially under investigation," he said. "Effective immediately, you are removed from the bench. Federal authorities will escort you from the courthouse." For the first time in decades, Cartwright was no longer the one in charge. Two federal marshals entered the room, their presence undeniable. The gallery leaned forward, watching as Cartwright stood, but this time, her authority was gone. As the marshals led her away, the courtroom erupted into whispers. People who had once feared her, who had respected her, now saw her for what she truly was, just another person, caught in her own web of corruption. Lawrence, or Special Agent Bennett as he was now revealed, watched the scene unfold with quiet satisfaction. Justice had been served, but he knew this was just the beginning. Outside the courthouse, the media had already caught wind of the dramatic turn of events. Reporters scrambled for interviews, but Lawrence wasn't interested in the spectacle. He wasn't here for the headlines. His work was far from over. Assistant U.S. Attorney Whitaker caught up to him. "We have enough to push for a full trial." "More than enough." Lawrence nodded, his expression unreadable. Whitaker studied him for a moment before speaking again. "I have to ask, why do this?" "Because it wasn't just about Cartwright," Lawrence replied. "It was about the system she represented, the lives she ruined. She thought no one was watching. I made sure she was wrong." Whitaker nodded. "We could use more people like you." Lawrence didn't respond. Instead, he adjusted his suit and disappeared into the city. The fight wasn't over, it never would be. But today, justice had taken its first step. This case may have been fictional, but the reality behind it? That happens every day. How many people in power get away with corruption simply because no one is paying attention? How many lives are destroyed because those in charge see justice as a game instead of a responsibility? This may have been a courtroom drama, but the truth is that it happens all around us. Have you ever witnessed injustice and felt powerless to stop it? Let's talk about it. And if you believe stories like this need to be told, share, like, and subscribe. Sometimes, the only way to bring justice is to shine a light on the truth.